My son's third grade teacher read his class a book about transgenderism, and she told the students that they could take medicine to change their gender. Clearly, at least at the beginning, they were like, we're not putting up with any parents who push back. And they did not think, they just thought that, oh, parents will roll over. So after we got the pride flags, we submitted a complaint to the police for harassment. The law enforcement officers showed up on our front porch unannounced and, basically told us, well, you're just as much at fault. A lot of people are concerned with their personal appearance, and that's why they don't speak up. That's why they don't say anything. That's why they let people like me take the bullying.
All right, welcome to another interview from the Cougar Chronicle. I'm Luke Hansen, and today I'm going to be interviewing a mother who's had some tussles with the Murray School District and some people involved with that. So, April, welcome.
Hi.
Glad to have
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
having
so
me.
could you give us a little background about what started this, and then we'll be able to take that into where we're at right now with this situation?
Yeah, so in January 2021, my son's third grade teacher read his class a book about transgenderism, and she told the students that they could take medicine to change their gender. And so at that point, I began investigating what was going on. I asked the teacher and the principals what was going on, and they told me at first. They told me there was an equity book program, and they were fine to teach that stuff. They didn't need parental permission. And then after I kept pushing back, they said, "Oh, actually, no, that was never part of our equity book program. That was just a student happened to bring in that book that day." And so they totally flipped the story. I was very, suspicious. And so I continued my investigation and started pushing back. And it just turned into this long, so it's now been 2.5 years. I'm still pushing back and exposing those issues. And I ran for school board. I've just done everything I can to stand up against these agendas in Murray School District. And so because of that, the Murray District PTA president came onto my Facebook and started just writing some comments about me and that weren't very nice, and saying that I need to stop attacking teachers. And I explained to her it's not attacking teachers to disclose what is going on in their classrooms, because classrooms are public and they're paid for with public taxes, and teachers are public employees paid for with our taxes. Everything in their classroom can be disclosed to the public. Their emails can be disclosed to the public, and it is not illegal. Anyway, it just turned into this kind of bullying situation, and I defended myself, and it ended up with her sending my family 7 pride flags to be staked into our front yard without our permission on Sunday, May 28th, 2023. And, so that's where we were at. And
At this moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
To go back a little bit to your son, correct, in 3rd grade, and the teacher read him this book. Do you remember the name of that book?
So she read Julian is a Mermaid first, and that talks about a boy who wants to be a mermaid and how he transforms into a mermaid. And then they did an assignment on that book. And then after that, they read Call Me Max, which was about a girl who feels like she's a boy. And that's what it says over and over. She felt like one on the inside. That's how she knew she was a boy. And so they read that book. And in the back of the book, there's an about the author section. Kyle Lukoff is the author. And so Kyle Lukoff is a transgender male, used to be a female. And in the picture, he has a really thick beard and he's bald. And so the kids said, how did he grow a beard? If he was a girl, how did he do that? And that's when the teacher explained to the class that, you can take medicine to change your gender when you want to. And, no parents had any knowledge this was going to take place. And the 3rd graders just came home and told their parents, oh yeah, we learned that we can change our gender. And so that's kind of
Do you know if there were other parents? Were you in conversation with other parents that were also concerned about this, or were you kind of Okay.
No,
Were
that's how
they
I found
also in
out.
conversation with the school about it, or were you kind of the only one that stepped forward to
No,
address it?
there were several parents who reached out, but, in the long run, I've been the only one who's continued to hold my ground on it, yeah. But
Mhm.
actually, I found out from another parent whose daughter had told her, and she was very upset, and a lot of people are timid to reach out, especially back then, 2 years ago, and it takes courage, you know, it takes courage to stand up to those agendas when you know that you're
Yeah.
gonna be called a bigot, you know that you're gonna be called a homophobe and a transphobe, and I absolutely was called all of those things publicly, and the teachers held rallies. This actually her name was Sarah Paul. She actually received a
This
Teacher
is
of the
the 3rd
Year.
grade teacher
Mhm.
you're talking about? Okay.
So she received Teacher of the Year award from FAM,
Wow.
and FAM is Friends, Allies, and Mentors, and they promote these agendas in K through 12 schools. And yeah, they gave her Teacher of the Year award and through a rally, and in the rally they, you know, put down anyone who didn't go along with their agendas, and that's the kind of thing that
Was
you're up
this,
against.
like an in-school rally, like an assembly, or do we mean like a kind of a public demonstration type of thing?
A public demonstration up at the Capitol.
Okay. Wow. And so your interactions when you were pushing back against this, was it mostly with the teacher, or was this also the school's administration as well?
It was mostly the school's administration. The teacher, she I think she sent out 1 or 2 emails, and from then on, the, principal and the assistant principal took it over, and they went forward with their story about this girl, or I assume, bringing in the book, and then the school board and the administration went along with the story, and actually, since then, I've had a teacher come forward from Horizon Elementary who was there during this entire incident, and she said, "Oh, yeah, they had a planned curriculum, they had the books, she saw the books, she they talked about it in teacher prep meetings and everything." So it was an orchestrated
So it was
charade to cover
basically
up.
the whole school knew about this?
The 3rd grade teachers knew about it. I don't know
Okay.
that the whole school, but I would guess that there are several in the district who know, and as time goes on, more and more will come forward. So, yeah.
And to your knowledge, did was there no pushback before you and other parents said something, or was there some teachers that dissented?
I think there was a couple of teachers who spoke up and said, "Hey, shouldn't we get parental permission for this?" And, the principal and assistant principal said, "Hey, we don't get parental permission to talk about cisgender students or to talk about cisgender stories, so we don't need to get permission to talk about transgender and other people's stories." So they
Mhm.
were, you know, they were pretty set on what they were gonna do, and, clearly, at least at the beginning, they were like, "We're not putting up with any parents who push back," and they did not think they just thought that, "Oh, parents will roll over." And honestly, I've found in Murray School District, a lot of parents do roll over, and the district has this attitude of, "We'll get away with whatever we want because parents roll over," and I don't roll over, so they hate
Wow,
me, they're
yeah.
sick of me, but
Good for you. Good for you.
mhm.
I know maybe this is kind of a moot point, but I'm just interested in hearing from your own mouth, what is the issue you have with these kind of ideologies and books being taught in classes?
So, my issue is, um, first of all, as a parent, I believe it's my right to decide when and how my children learn about these things. I think they're private and, kinda like, talking about sexual things is, you know, a family should be up to the parents. Parents should have a say in that. But also, the main thing for me is that when you're speaking about your personal identity and sexuality and gender, those come down to being a religious issue, you know? And so if a family believes that gender is binary and, um, you know, like we believe that gender is an essential and eternal characteristic, and if you're born a boy, you're always a boy. If you're born a girl, you're always a girl, and that is a part of who you are eternally. That is my right as a parent to teach that to my children, and I should not have to worry about sending them to school and having their teacher tell them the opposite as truth, you know? I
Mhm.
accept that there are people who believe differently, just like in Call Me Max, she says, "I feel like I'm a girl, but I feel like I'm a boy on the inside, so that makes me a boy." Fine. believe that about yourself. But you don't get to teach that to my children as truth, because it's not factual truth. It's not scientifically measurable or verifiable. It's a religion. It's a belief system. Call it whatever you want, but it's a belief system as much as my belief is a belief system. And I have the right as a parent to teach my children according to what we believe is true, and that should not be undermined by the school district. They are not the parents. They are undermining parental rights. So it's a religious and it's a parental right issue.
I think that's well said. I obviously am not in support of those things as well. I think a pushback that they might offer, if I can understand their position, is okay, you say that it's a religious thing, which means we also should not be teaching heteronormativity and cisnormativity. Would you agree that that's your position, or do you think that it's okay to accept the way that society has been for a long time in the classroom?
I think society is based on biology. It's that is like I said, scientifically verifiable. You know, like I have 6 kids. For almost all of them, I found out their sex long before they were, you could look at it. Like, it was through DNA. It was through the test, my blood test. So that is something that is scientifically verifiable. That is what society is based on. And neutrality means, okay, leave your religion at the door, whatever. It doesn't go into the schools. If we're going to say that there's a separation of church and state, you know, we're not going to teach certain belief systems as truth over other belief systems. That's my take on it. Cis heteronormativity, all that stuff is made up by the gender religion believers. It's not real. There's male and female. That's what's real, and that's biologically verifiable. So that's what I think neutrality is.
Awesome, great.
I'm not cis. I am a woman.
Well said. So you were talking about, we had the 3rd grade teacher. Sounds like most of the administration and the teachers were at least either silent or advocating for this. And it sounds like there was even a little bit of duplicity involved as well. But what you brought up next in the story was this person, Jennifer A., let's say. And this is the PTA president, correct?
Right.
And that is an elected position in the Murray School District, right?
As far as I know, I've never been on the PTA, but I assume that it's elected somewhat.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So do you just want to take us through it? I can control it, and you can kind of let me know when you want to advance or stay.
Do you want me to read it or just?
Would you like to, or I could?
Small for me.
Okay. Yeah, I can read it. So this top message up here is the first message sent from Jennifer. This is the PTA president to you. And just to verify, before this, you did not know who this person was, correct?
Right. I didn't even know she existed. I've never heard her name.
Okay.
I didn't mention this earlier, but after what we experienced, I pulled my kids out of Murray School District, and we now homeschool. So my kids are not currently in that system. So no, I'm not even aware of who's on the PTA.
So, for all intents and purposes, this seems to have been a response to some posts that you made about this topic. And she says, "No wonder you didn't win the school board position. You sit behind your keyboard and rip teachers apart, all while claiming to be a good member of the LDS Church. You are far, in capital letters, from Christ-like. A daughter of God would not treat people like this, and you should be ashamed of yourself." So that is the first thing that we get from her.
That was the first time I ever heard from her. Right. It was a post about one of the junior high teachers, Gabriel Smith. He had a pride flag in his classroom, and he openly bragged about it. He came onto my Facebook and posted a comment saying, "Hey, that's my classroom." I didn't know it was his until he said that. And so I put that on my Facebook. This is Gabriel Smith's classroom, and he's proud of the fact that he has a pride flag in it. And so she came onto that post and started, ripping into me about my religion and that I lost the school board election.
Which she is not a part of, correct? Jennifer is not a part of the LDS Church?
No, she's not a member of the church.
Which is always ironic to me, holding people to the standard that you yourself don't believe in, just as an
Mhm.
argument to, like, rhetorically, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me as an argument, but
Right. It's
be
just
that as it may.
cranky. Mhm. Yeah.
And then looks like we had a couple other people respond, but she responds again and now says, this is the Jennifer again. You can laugh all you want, but when your own mother-in-law asks you to be reasonable, you decide instead of taking her words to heart, you choose to no longer have a relationship with her. Such another great example of you being a daughter of our Heavenly Father. Okay.
Mhm.
Could you break down what's going on here with this message?
So, I had I hadn't responded to her. I just put a laugh emoji on her comment.
Okay, yeah, we got a laugh
And so
emoji.
that's why she said, "Oh, laugh all you want, April." But she brought up we have a family situation in my husband's family where there's a divorce going on, and actually there's allegations of abuse in this case, and my husband and I have taken a stand on that, and so it's caused some friction in our relationship with his family, and she brought this up to shame me into silence on these
Now,
issues.
how I know we spoke before about this, but just for the audience, is this something that has been on social media? Is this public knowledge, or is she
No, nope.
bringing so she's
No, I've
bringing this
never.
up for the first time in a public place?
Right, yes, we've kept this very private. It's very private for my sister-in-law and brother-in-law who are going through this, and I've never posted about it, I've never shared about it, so somehow she happened to hear about it through the grapevine as gossip, and she heard a small piece of information, and I'm not sure quite how she interpreted it, but she brought that up just to say, "You're such a bad person, and, you're not a daughter of God," and whatever, because I have some friction with my mother-in-law right now. So, yeah.
Okay, so this is her for the first time in public social media bringing up a very delicate family situation, and accusing you of not holding to the standards of a church which she is not a part of nor believes in, all
Mhm,
because you reposted information that another person that is not herself already had put on social media. Am I getting
mhm.
this correct?
Right, yep.
Okay. I mean, it's in the court of public opinion to decide where you fall on this issue, but this is seeming pretty one-sided. We'll leave it up to the audience to make their own determinations about who's in the right here. Let's go on to the next one because you have ended up having a lot of interaction with this person, and I think what might be coming into some people's head at this point, so I'll just address it right now, is why not, after this first message right here, why not just block her on Facebook?
So, the reason that I didn't block her and the reason I don't generally block is because having run for school board, having stood up to these issues for 2.5 years, there are people everywhere just looking to bully anyone who stands up to the gender ideology. And so I can block, but then it's just another person. So I just want to hold my ground. I want to show all the bullies that I will hold my ground. I am fed up with being bullied. When I ran for school board, all I did was respond with kind, respectful, polite responses, no matter how hurtful the people were. That's all I did. And so when I lost the election and after all the bullying I took, I was like, politeness is done. I will hold my ground. And so that's where I'm at, and that's what I do. So yeah, I didn't block her. I just said I'm going to keep holding my ground. I'm going to keep holding my ground. And yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, yeah. So let's go through some of this. We have another. Is this? Oh, sorry. I need to share. Is this that you've shared with me all from comment section on the same thing, or is she jumping into different posts that you're making and commenting
So
throughout this?
it's mostly on the same post, but there were 2 different threads on that post, so
Got it. Okay. So here we have her again. It looks like you said, I guess that's all you have to say. Shucks, I was hoping for more juicy gossip and condescending judgment. You're
mhm.
taking it with a grain of, I mean, trying to let it roll off your back, it seems like. then
Right.
she
Well, I
says,
asked her, what more do you have to say about my family situation? Because I'm just like, it is a private situation, but honestly, I'm not at all ashamed about where I stand on that or why. So I'm like, go ahead, say
mm-hmm.
whatever you're going to say about it. And she didn't have anything more to say. So that was what she
And it
said.
sounds like, based on the closeness that you have, it seems like there's a number of degrees of freedom between what she would have heard about it and
Right.
what your actual stance and involvement in the situation is, considering you'd never even heard of her before.
Right. It seems like she kind of thought our family issue had to do with the school issue, which it has
Mm.
nothing to do with. But I have no idea what she actually heard.
Oh, well, giving her the benefit of the doubt slightly, I guess. But it's so you're kind of doing this remark, shrugging it off, and her response is, "Lady, you have your master's degree in being condescending. You suck as a human being, and you know it. Go back to your keyboard, courage, and stop. Oh, sorry. Go back to your keyboard, courage, and being a sore loser. Hashtag you lost to Jill Waite." All right,
Hmm.
so she's bringing up something else,
Hmm.
and this is
My
the
school
school
board
board
election, right?
position that you
Hmm.
ran for, which she
Right.
was
Yeah.
also not involved in, correct?
Right. Hmm. And it's
Okay.
also funny that she says I have keyboard courage because I'm like it. I ran for school board. If anything,
Mm,
I put myself, my name, my face, my reputation on the line in the most public and in-person way that I possibly could have by running for school board. So, no, this is not keyboard courage. This is actual courage. Obviously, I do a lot of my work from the computer as we all have to in the day and age that we live. But no, I've put my name on the line. I've put my face on the line. I've done lots in person. So, ironic there.
yeah, yeah, it seems, yeah, I didn't even think about that. It is ironic that in the very next sentence she's laughing at you for when you weren't just being on your keyboard and actually were going out
Right.
and doing something. And I
Mhm.
just have to give props for you for going and homeschooling your kids. That's a little more than keyboard courage in my book.
Right, yeah, thank you.
All right, and you have an answer back to her. I mean, I'm sure people reading this out of context or as it is would say, "Oh, that's a pretty snarky, glib answer." You know, tell me how you feel, keep it coming, show the world what keyboard courage you have. You're a warrior,
Yeah.
putting me in my place. But yeah. So what's your philosophy? Not necessarily asking you to defend yourself, but what's your philosophy behind answering like this? Is it what you were saying before
Um,
about just not letting bullies bully you anymore?
yeah, I'm just holding my ground, I someone said a comment like that about it earlier, and I'm like, "Well, judge all you want." Everything I said was in self-defense. I don't know this woman. Have never interacted with her. I wouldn't talk to her if she would leave me alone. Everything that I said was in self-defense, and I'm just holding my ground and showing that, I'm not gonna be bullied. I'm done being bullied.
Hmm. Well said. All right. Now it looks like your husband is here, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Thank you to Jennifer responding. Thank you for showing everyone your hate for parents who disagree with your gender religion being pushed on our kids. She responds, "Dude, it's not a religion." Then responds again, "Must be sad not to have a relationship with your mother anymore."
Mhm.
Um, so she is, yeah, really
Right,
harping
and
on that.
that was the point where I kind of was like, "Okay, it's just too personal," and yeah, my response was
Hmm.
pretty clear. I went after her in a personal way too, which, you know, say what you want,
Looking
judge what you
back, would
want, but I'm
yeah,
defending
looking back, do you
myself.
say, mm, maybe I don't do that if I could do this again? Or looking back, do you say, ah, well, tit for tat, or at least it wasn't as bad as what she
If
said?
I were concerned about my my appearance to others, yeah, maybe I would be more careful, but I threw that to the wind a long time ago with everything I put up with running through for school board. A lot of people are concerned with their personal appearance, and that's why they don't speak up. That's why they don't say anything. That's why they They let people like me take the bullying. And when they see me being bullied, they know it's wrong and they claim to believe as I believe, but do they jump in and defend me? No. Why? Because they are too worried about their own personal appearance. I threw that out. I don't have that luxury anymore. So, yeah, I hold my ground and I have no regrets. I hold my ground
Okay.
and I always will. I'll keep holding my ground.
Yeah, and once again, I mean, I personally, just from apologies, I left you out of our. There we are. From a standpoint of what's going to be effective in conversation, I do cringe at a response that includes like saying maybe you should get more Botox or silicone or therapy so you feel better about yourself. That being said, this is to a woman who has now brought up twice a divorce which was not originally on social media and she really didn't have any business knowing about in the first place and is unconnected to the conversation at hand. So,
right,
when we're comparing, when you're deciding what to get mad at and react to, it's good to keep in mind proportionality. Yeah.
right. And
So,
it's not
and
just
this is her
any
talking to
case.
your dad now. So she's gone after both you and your husband
To my
for
husband, yeah.
this. Mm-hmm.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
what were you
Mocking
saying
his
that I?
Oh, just that the situation involves abuse. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
light situation. It is something that we take very serious. And so she's mocking that and mocking my husband's relationship with his mother over these things. And these are things that we personally have agonized over in our personal life. And she's just mocking us, mocking those things to put us down, put us in our place because we dare to say that schools should not teach gender ideology, queer ideology as truth. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's another irony on top of this is apparently under the guise of love and acceptance of people that are in difficult
right,
situations, which for her is the LGBTQ community, but perhaps if it's against the right enemy, it does not include the victims of abuse and divorce community.
right,
So, yeah. So we're going back and forth a little bit again. Um, and she responds, "There you go again, calling people names." Uh, yeah. So you're the one calling people's names. How adult of you? It seems like lots of people care about me. I did get volunteer of the year. At least I've won something. Too bad we can't say the same for you. So now we are 2 times about the election you lost, yet you're only a keyboard
mm-hmm,
courage warrior, and
mm-hmm.
2 times referring to the divorce. I'm actually not entirely sure what she says about there you go again calling people names when you reference Botox and silicone and you nasty witch. I don't
Right.
remember you
When
calling
she's
her names
saying
before, but
which is the one I called her a name, right? But other than that, I don't. At least at that point, I
yeah, but
hadn't
I don't
called
know
her
if
other names.
yeah, I don't think
I
you
had
called her a name before that,
right. When she
unless she
says
says
at least
gossiper is calling names. But
yeah, but even then I
sorry,
didn't
what?
say gossiper. I said
Yeah,
um oh, when she said at least I've won something, she's referring to her PTA Volunteer of the Year award. So she's referring to her role in the PTA about winning something. So she's saying you lost the school board, but I'm on the PTA and I won an award for my PTA work. So I have a lot of people who care about me.
which again
So,
has basically no bearing upon this conversation about a different teacher who's not herself having a pride flag in the classroom,
right,
right?
except that as a
Hmm.
PTA worker and PTA president, she works at the junior high where this pride flag and this teacher are. And so she's bringing in her PTA position as a way to say, I know more about these teachers than you. And she's in a position of authority over me, putting herself there, I felt like.
Got it. All right, so now we're getting to the gift itself. So we had,
Right.
and you actually posted a video about this, which I don't have, but here's a picture of it right
Mm-hmm.
here. And this is, all right, so explain this to me. She sent some sort of organization to your home to put pride flags on your lawn, correct?
Right. So, at first, things got a little, we got upset or whatever, and then she said, "I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. From now on, you'll be hearing only through our lawyer." And I was like, "Okay." Um, but then the next day, some people showed up on our front lawn, and at first I'm like, "Oh, are these just, visitors for across the street?" But then they started hammering stakes into our lawn, and I asked my husband to go outside and check out what was going on, and it was these volunteers that she had sent from Project Rainbow, and she had ordered 7 LGBTQ pride flags to be staked into our yard without our permission. And um to speak for these volunteers, they were very respectful, very kind. They left when we told them the situation. They were and I honestly, I feel bad for them because they were thrown under the bus by this woman because they had no idea what was going on. They just thought, "Oh, you guys ordered 7 pride flags." And so, yeah, it wasn't their fault, but, um, she the PTA president wanted to give us 7 pride flags without our permission, in my opinion, as a form of intimidation. Like, I I am gonna keep on keeping on, and I will go as far as I want. I'll even come onto your private property and shove my ideology in your face. And we have 6 little children, and our she knows my personal religious beliefs and about gender and identity, and that's what we teach our children. And she's like, "Nope, I'm putting this in your yard for your whole family to see, and this is what you guys need to believe." Basically, that's how it came across to us.
So do you know, uh, and I'm not going to make a comment on legalities because I'm not the law nor that familiar with it, but so I'll use it in more of the colloquial sense, harassment. Do you know how much money it it is to have them come over and stake 1, let alone 7 pride flags into your lawn? Or is this kind of
I
like a
don't
volunteer thing? Like they have their funds and then you say, if you want one, they come in and put one in your lawn type of thing.
I think she did spend money on it. I'm not sure how much, but, and I think it is a price per flag. But this Project Rainbow, from what I understand, is run at least in part through government grants, and the
Hmm.
people who brought the flags were totally volunteer. I think they work for free. So,
Got it. Got it. Would you classify this as harassment? Is this when you're saying that she's harassing you, you're referring to the online stuff, and then you're
mhm.
also putting this under the banner of harassment as well, correct?
I would, yeah. Under the dictionary definition of harassment, I'm not an expert on legal, but I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel harassed, and um it's on our private property, without our permission. So based
And
on
just to
that, yes,
clarify,
I
she
would.
had to have done some sort of sleuthing around online
Right.
to find this
Right.
address as
We
well, right?
right. Until this interaction, we had never met. We didn't know each other, no interactions whatsoever. So she had to have gone online to find our address and send those to us. She's never been to our
That's just
house, and
crazy.
yeah.
And despite saying this will be the last you hear from me, correct? We now have her,
Mhm.
when you post a complaint about this, less than an hour later, based on these timestamps here, having her own post, quoting your
Yeah,
post and saying, Happy Pride to
yeah.
our favorite Murray citizen, and then your name,
Mhm.
April.
Yeah. So she shared it and bragged about it, and then she also came on my post again and commented and said, "You didn't like the pride flags we sent you? I
This
thought."
one is here, right?
Right,
Saying you
uh-huh.
didn't like
Yep.
my gift. I figured as much as you post pride flags, you would love them. Darn.
Right.
Wow. And then also send it, and this is a public post, correct? This one here? She's like publicly posting on her own page,
Right. Yep.
quoting your post complaining and giving evidence for this, and
Right.
just kind of mocking the discomfort and stress that it caused you having an unknown person coming on your property, giving you staking things into your grass that you do not agree with.
Right. And because I have been so vocal for 2.5 years about these issues, I have had other people threaten me. And it
Mm.
is scary and distressing for someone to just come onto my property and start hammering things. You know, we, like I said, we have little children. I don't know who's crazy enough to do what. So it is scary for us. It's not just a joke. It's a serious thing.
I think anybody, even if they hadn't experienced online threats and stuff, would be at least slightly unnerved about an unknown person coming and staking something that you didn't know what it was at first into your lawn. I think that
Right.
would be cause for concern for anybody. Yeah. All right. So this ended up culminating. Was this just yesterday with a police visit? Correct. This flag thing happened on Sunday, the
Mm-hmm.
28th of May,
Right.
and this conversation is happening on June 1st, first day of Pride Month. And
Mm-hmm.
you had a police visit. Was this earlier today, or was this yesterday or the
Um,
day before?
it was Tuesday, May 30th. So after she delivered the
know
pride
there's a lot of
flags,
passion.
Sorry.
we oh, is it cutting out? Sorry.
No, I
Um,
was just pulling up the video
okay.
and it started
So
playing.
so after we got the pride flags, we submitted a complaint to the police for harassment, and um, so that probably would have been that same Sunday that we did on May 28th. And so then 2 days later, May 30th, the law enforcement officers showed up on our front porch unannounced and, basically told us, well, you're just as much at fault because you interacted with her. And I'm like, I responded to her. Everything was because she would not leave us alone. But they're like, no, you're equally at fault. And you're at risk for a criminal harassment charge if you don't stop too. And they said they'd already talked to Jennifer, or they'd already talked to the PTA president, and I just am like, well, interesting that they talked to her first because I feel like we're the victims in this scenario, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
ultimately we'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, and you posted this uh word to the wise. You recorded basically the entire conversation with the police officers, correct?
Right, yeah.
And you put that out on YouTube. It was a couple minutes long conversation, and they were repeating themselves a couple times, but I think the end right here will be enough for us to get the gist of what we're saying and confirm what you've said about the conversation.
And I know there's a lot of history here,
There's not a lot of history. I don't know her.
Well,
But she came on my page
So-
and started bullying my family.
there's a lot of back and forth that's been going on.
because
and
I
get-
defend myself. Yeah.
Okay, and I get there's a lot of emotion behind that. We get that. But at this time, we're going to ask everybody to stop, let it be, and if it continues, then we'll address it.
Okay.
What will the address be? What does the law
I
say
can't-
if it happened?
I gave you the law. Go look it up.
I know.
It's up to you. If you need legal
But
advice,
the law says if this continues, then what?
it's a criminal charge. It's electronic communication harassment.
Oh, okay.
It's a Class B misdemeanor.
Class B misdemeanor.
Yep. Again, go look up the law. So, and if you need interpretation on the law, then seek that through a lawyer, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys for your time.
Take
Okay,
care.
thanks.
All right. Looks like I missed the part earlier in it, but it was your husband, correct, who asked, what about these flags on the lawn? And they said, yeah, that's not against the law. And he said, what are you talking about? And they said, oh, no, it's not against the law. What do you mean? Well, just go read it. It's not against it. Is that correct from the video?
Right. And then my husband said, so I can go to anyone's lawn and put whatever flag I want
That's
in their
right.
lawn. And the
That's
cop
right.
said, I'm not going to do what ifs with you.
Mhm.
I'm just like, that's not a what if. It's the exact same thing. But he wouldn't address it. He just told us it wasn't illegal. So
And just to, we've already said this, but just to clarify once again, this was the reason why you called the police, right? Was to address the flag
right.
and lawn situation.
hmm
And kind of once you brought that topic up, it was well, that wasn't against the law, but also we're not going to talk about it because that's not what we're here for.
Right. Yeah, they didn't cite
Yeah.
the code. They didn't cite it or anything, so we're still
When you
having that
said we
looked at.
gave you the law, are they saying they told you the name of the law, or do they mean they actually like handed you or emailed you an actual copy of what they're talking about?
He showed us on his phone the code about electronic harassment. He didn't ever show me a code about the flags or anything. So I don't know why he said go look at the law, but yeah.
Are they? Yeah. So are they? Because I'm trying to understand what exactly they're trying to ding you for here. Are they saying that you? Because I mean, you have the messages here. Basically, at least from what you've sent, all you did was say maybe get more Botox to make yourself feel better, and you're a witch. Is that basically the grounds for saying that you harassed her?
Yeah. Yeah, because I dared to clap back. She said a lot of personally hurtful things, and I dared to clap back, and they're like, "Well, then you willingly did this. You willingly engaged, and you're just as much at fault." And honestly, that's terrifying for anyone who experiences harassment and bullying. Like, if you defend yourself, then you're equally at fault. You just have to silently take it. That's not right. Nope.
I know you've multiple times over and over said, I'm not going to back down. I'm done backing down. Has this recent event or ones over the past 2.5 years ever discouraged you, where you've had a period where you thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I should have just taken my kids out, gone them in homeschool? Or have you been, consistent? No, this is worth it. This is what we're doing now.
When my son's third grade teacher read the book to his class, I went on a long walk by myself and I pondered these things, and I thought, how deep am I willing to go for this? How much does this matter to me? And I came to the conclusion, a lot easier than I thought I would, that it's more than my religion. This is unhealthy for our society. It's unhealthy for all of our children, regardless of your religion. It's not healthy. It's not gonna help our society. And so this stand that I'm taking is not just for me, it's for all of our children, it's for all of our society. And at that time, I made up my mind. I am willing to keep pushing back. And with this last scenario that I've gone through with this PTA president, I've had a few people say, well, maybe you should just back down. And I've thought, it would be more peaceful to just relax and not deal with these kind of issues. But when I back down and when I allow myself to live that peaceful life, then I also allow my children to have to face those issues by themselves. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight for truth and for freedom and for our freedom of religion and for our families. I'm going to keep fighting for the sake of my children. And it's not fun for me. It's not easy. It's not peaceful. And I don't get to look like the good person all the time. I have a lot of people who call me bad things, but it's worth it to me. And I'm not going to back down. No, I don't have any intentions to back down.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you going through the story with us. Before we go, I just have a couple more questions that are kind of more action item oriented. The first would be, what is your recommendation for people in your situation, both parents and teachers? Do you say do it the way I did it, or do you see people playing different roles in this fight?
Yeah, I think everyone has different roles. I think each one of us needs to either pray, whatever your belief system is, pray and ask God, what should you do? Or connect with yourself on a deeper level and say, what is the right thing for me to do? How can I make a difference in my way? Each of us is given different skills and talents and abilities, and we need to use those to stand for truth. And I have the ability to speak, I have an ability to write, and I use my abilities to stand for what I know is true. And I think each of us needs to find what can you do and do it. But whatever you do, don't sit back and let everyone else do it for you, because each of us needs to stand up. And the more we stand up, the more we can make a real difference. And that's
Yeah,
where
and I like that. And I love what you said before about whatever I don't do is, you essentially said whatever I don't do is going to be something that my children either have to do or deal with because I didn't. And
right,
I think
right.
that would really resonate with anybody who either has children or is sensitive to the importance of the institution of the family. One
Right.
more question, more personally, that's along the same vein. How do you recommend people support you in this specific fight that you're involved in right now?
Um, share everything you can. Tell people. If you can get me in contact with experts on this issue who are willing to help me, you know, anything like that, write into Marie School District about this. Write into the PTA, the national PTA, the local PTA, the state PTA, and just expose the issues in your schools, or give me the information, you know, I'll expose it. We just need to make everyone aware as much as we can about what is really going on in our children's schools, and we need to stand together and make it clear that it's not okay. We're not okay with it. And the more we stand up, the more the bullies realize, oh, maybe I should stop bullying.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I would add also one more thing to that as well, with news organizations getting the word out there, letters, letters to the editor, just sending the message saying, "Hey, have you seen this?" If they get those from, if 10 people watch this and send in something to one of our local news sources, Deseret News, Salt Lake Tribune, that will make it look like there are thousands of people that are interested and want this to be covered more broadly in the news. So that'd be my one thing to add. Before we head out, well, first, is there any last things you want to say? And then second, just let people, if they aren't already, know how to follow you, get in contact with you on Twitter and Facebook and such.
I don't know what I would have my last things to say. Just stand for truth, stand and support those who are standing for truth. And then on Facebook, I'm April Wild Despain, and on Twitter, I think my handle is at April Despain. That I don't really know. I should go look.
We can put in the description as well of the video, but yeah. And Despain is DES Pain, right? That's the spelling for it.
Right. Yeah. And I'm on
Awesome.
Instagram too. I'm not as active there, but I am on there as April Wild Despain also.
But if they were to send you a message or something, you'd be on there.
Right. Yeah. I'll get it.
All right. Hey, we'll appreciate, what you've been doing for the past 2.5 years, and even just raising 6 kids by itself is to be commended, let alone all this other work fighting the culture war that we're in right now. So I really appreciate it, April, and thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on.